positive reflections are one way that we, number one, learn to see the positive in others, but we also can elevate their experience. And when you feel good around someone because they've elevated you, they want to spend more time with you.
Yeah, definitely. No, having that positive reinforcement, especially if it's complimenting on something that's not just like, oh, you're so pretty, or your eyes are so nice, or your smile is great. It's like, no, you're really smart.
Yes,
I love how you see things. Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Ask Women podcast, your favorite podcast. And I'm Kristen Carney. Of course, you know that from KristenandChillDating.com. With me, as usual, is my beautiful co-host, the wonderful, the one and only Marnie Kinross from Winkle.
You must still be on drugs because you are complimenting. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm doing a little butt kissing. And we have an amazing guest today who's going to teach us about confidence, but confidence when you're speaking, and in all different areas. But Linda Ugelow is a speaking confidence coach and vocal coach. But I'm going to let her explain a little bit more. But
yes, you tell us about this.
Is so important. So This is going to be a really good show.
Yeah, so we're so excited because it's true. The way that you express yourself, both verbally and non-verbally, tells people how they should respond to you. But I'd love to hear from you, Linda. Why are you like? How do you know about this stuff? Where did this come from? Where did this interest come from in teaching people how to speak confidently?
Well, if you asked me 12 years ago, is this going to be your career? I would say, what are you talking about?
Right.
Exactly. So about 10 years ago, I became an online coach. I took a coaching program and I built a website. And the first thing I needed to do was get clients. So I thought, well, the best way to get out there is through visibility, through video. And my video coach said there was this amazing new app that was going to change the online space forever. It was called Periscope. I don't even know if you remember Periscope.
Yeah.
Yes. So long ago,
It was the first live streaming app. And for about 9 months, it was hot until Facebook then introduced live streaming as well. My video coach said, you got to get on daily to build a following. And at the time, I was extremely awkward and anxious on video. And at the same time, I felt I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an early adopter. Everyone says, feel the fear and do it anyway. Fake it till you make it. Pretend your fear is excitement, all of these things. And I thought, I'm going to do this. And of course, in a few weeks, I'm going to feel better. So it was terrifying, I just have to say.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was disembodied for every single broadcast I did. My heart was racing, my mouth got dry, I was hyperventilating, but I was able to develop this whole ritual of meditation and affirmations and power poses and deep breathing and you name it. I tried it and I did it. And I would get on every day and I thought, I'm good. This is working. I'm getting on every day.
Okay.
It doesn't matter that I just spent an hour to get on for 5 minutes.
Right.
And the weeks go by and I'm just kind of in the role of it, in the groove. And I get to about day 10th week, day 75, let's say. And I notice as I'm about to press broadcast that my heart is pounding. And I thought, wait a minute, haven't I just been doing this daily for 75 days? Why is my heart still pounding? I realize I've been managing the fear, but that's different than getting rid of the fear.
Oh, interesting. Okay, wonderful. So tell us about that.
So at that moment, I thought, I don't want to manage it. I want to get rid of it. I don't want to feel this way every time I speak on camera. Or actually, I was a part of a women's world music group. I performed a fair amount, maybe a couple of times a month. And I was afraid every time I introduced a song. And I was in that group for decades, and I was still afraid. I realized I was afraid in conversations with people. I was afraid even teaching the workshops, which I love doing, but I was always very anxious. And suddenly I became aware that I was an anxious speaker all around, like almost everywhere. So what I did was I made a list of all the things that I knew to get rid of this, because I looked online kind of every week. I was Googling how to get over the fear of speaking, and the things I told you about were the things I found.
Yeah.
So that wasn't enough. So I have a background in expressive arts therapy. And so my background is in psychology, and I have a lot of personal development tools. And I made a list of them all. And I said, okay, great. I'm going to try this. And the first thing I tried was something called focusing. And that's when you imagine that whatever your distress is, it's somewhere in your body. And you connect with that in your body. And I closed my eyes and I said, if this fear could talk, what would it say?
Mm-hmm.
And what came back was, you're going to be attacked. I thought, whoa, where does that come from? And suddenly I remembered being a kid and my two older sisters yelling at me, shut up, stupid, kicking me in the shins. Whenever my mom put me in the center of attention because I was the good girl and they were naughty, and she'd say, why can't you girls be more like Linda? And all of a sudden it wasn't even an aha. It was like, duh. Of course I don't feel comfortable speaking on camera or on stage because there's a part of me that remembers it was dangerous.
Well, you got punished for it.
I got
either your mother loved you.
My mother
but
didn't punish
your
me.
Your sisters hated you.
That's right.
So you couldn't really win.
And not just did they punish me, but I felt like I was losing their love. And I was the little one, and I wanted them to love me, and I felt they hated me because I was getting attention.
Yeah, you were so perfect. They hated you.
Exactly. I don't know if I was perfect, but
it
sounds like it.
They hated me. I was perfect in my mother's eyes. And it's interesting because I saw them get punished by her. I saw her drag them into the bathroom to wash their mouths out with soap, or twist their arms, or yank them, or yell at them. And I remember making that decision. I'm never going to do anything that makes mom yell at me that way. And that's why I became the goody-goody.
Yeah. So that does work. That's interesting, because I've threatened to wash my kids' mouths out with soap, and they both go open their mouths
wide open.
Yeah, they're like, bring it on. Our soap is like
Your
the
soap
healthiest soap in the world. So they're like, bring it
Exactly.
on. I've eaten it before, not a big deal. Okay, so that's interesting. So you're saying that like a lot of these fears that are created in childhood, which we've talked about before on the show, have major impact on how you present yourself later in life.
Yes,
which makes sense.
And it does make sense, total sense. And then I realized it's not just the obvious things. Like obvious things might be, in school, you were asked to come up to the front of the class and you didn't know the answer and everyone laughed. Or maybe you just didn't know the answer and you got a bad grade. You got penalized.
Yeah.
But it can also be, feeling on the outside of the friends group. It could be that you moved around a lot and you didn't get a chance to really build up friendships, or you had a different accent than other people, or you got bullied, or like in my case, my father told me, I'm not interested in the things you do.
No.
If you feel like someone that is important in your life is not interested in you, you're not going to feel relaxed and comfortable talking about yourself.
No, because you believe that it's valueless.
That's
so, or it holds no value. So why would you even speak, right?
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
So any kind of hurt, abuse, rejection, or even if you have been at the top of your class, perfect grades, maybe even valedictorian, that is a handicap because it's so easy to conflate. I'm worthy because I'm perfect, and if I'm not perfect, I'm a failure. And that creates a lot of anxiety for very intelligent people who are, expert in their areas of work, but they still feel anxious when they talk to people. Even it could be their colleagues or their higher ups, or it could be
somebody that they deem
partners.
smarter than them or have more accolades than them, or even are on par with them, but they don't want to look beneath them in any way. It's a lot of pressure is what it sounds like. Lots of mental pressure, subconscious and unconscious.
Exactly. We create a lot of our own pressure. Demands. We demand a lot of ourselves to be of a certain standard. Like someone may be like at the top of their class, but someone else is more at ease in speaking, and they go, "Oh, look at them, they're a natural. I'm dull and boring."
Yeah, exactly. So I'll stop talking and let other people talk.
Exactly.
Well, can I just butt in for a second?
Nope, you can't talk. You're stupid. Yeah, I'm just joking.
I kissed your butt at the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. You can talk for 2 minutes.
She deserves it.
Well, I had an interesting experience as a kid because I wasn't great in school. I didn't care about grades. I didn't get great grades. Teachers didn't single me out as anyone special or anything like that. But I was selected to speak at a youth conference. It was almost, I think it was like every school from New York State
Oh, wow.
sent two representatives or something like that to speak, and my school picked me. And I think they knew I just wasn't a natural speaker slash performer, but I went up there and I killed. It was like I was bullied in school. I didn't have many friends. I wasn't great at,
But you knew you could speak.
but I knew I could speak. And what
Yeah.
that did for my confidence was wild. To have every single, like two of the best students from every school applauding me or just
Yeah.
really going with it. And I think that shaped my career path.
Absolutely.
100%. Well, so
And I love that because everybody is unique and everybody
Mhm.
has a unique pattern of experiences in their life. And it's wonderful that not everyone who gets bullied has a problem speaking. I mean, that's what it shows, that for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know, maybe at home you were given space to express yourself, or maybe among your friends you were, people enjoyed listening to you and you got that feeling and it gave you confidence.
Well, I always told stories at lunch, which was interesting, to a table of girls that I was friendly with, but not friends. But they would say, "Oh, it's story time with Kristen." And I don't even know what the stories were, but I would make them laugh. And so I don't know how, that made its way to the superintendent or whoever chose, but that's where I found my confidence was in speaking.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So so the guys who are listening, so I would say a lot of them do freeze up when trying to talk to women that they're attracted to, right? Their confidence goes out the window, or to be honest, maybe their confidence was never there to begin with. Or they may be confident in other areas. But confidence surrounding women is just not happening for the reasons that you even spoke of, past negative experiences. How can they learn to become confident if they don't have this positive reinforcement that Kristen's talking about, and potentially can have negative responses when they do put themselves out there? So, like, they may feel good about themselves, right? But they may not get what they want with opening their mouths. Like, how do they build confidence for that?
I would say that recognize that, number one, we all have stuff, and that when we're feeling unconfident or we feeling nervous speaking to somebody, it's for a reason. There's a reason. So just assume that there is. And that if we investigate it a little bit, we can trace it back to where it might come from. And when you address those earlier experiences, and it doesn't have to, it's not 2 years of therapy that I'm talking about. I'm talking about applying a couple of modalities to it. You can clear them away, because basically when you speak to, let's say, a girl, a woman, you want to feel present there. And what's happening is that you are being activated from something from the past, and that's keeping you from being present, or you're worrying about the future, which is also keeping you from being present. So what we want to do is clear the field so that you can be here now, and just be with the person, be present, be listening, engage, respond.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do it when there's, your brain is going, oh my God, my voice is shaking, or my hands are shaking, or my heart's pounding. Maybe she knows I'm nervous. All of a sudden, your mental capacity is taken up with all these different things. So
Yeah.
it's really important to just say, okay, I got stuff. I had stuff. Everybody has stuff.
So is that literally what you would do in the moment? So if your mind is
No,
going
I would do
crazy?
this ahead of
Okay.
time. I'd say, if you know this is you, then just spend 15 minutes and think about your stuff. So think about, what is it that you're nervous about? Are you nervous about being judged, looking foolish, that you're somehow visit your self-image, your image isn't good, your body, or whatever it is, whatever that is, probably there's a time in the past where that happened, or it was said to you, or you felt that in a big emotional way. And that's going to be where you need to do the clearing work. And what I mean by clearing is that when we have memories of something that, I think the memories that stick to us are the ones that that weren't yet resolved. So maybe we needed a parent or a teacher or a friend or a mentor to help us through something that we didn't have the resources or tools to get through unscathed. And so we just came up with we made up our own coping mechanism. So this is your opportunity as an adult to be that wiser mentor or teacher or caring person, friend to your younger self. And so you might imagine that experience or imagine you at the time and tell yourself, what you see in your younger you. I see this person who's really trying hard and who didn't get it right and felt really shamed about it. But I want you to know, and then you tell yourself what it is that you really wish that somebody had told you at the time. You're still a smart person. You still are worthy of being listened to. You still are, you're a great guy. You still have all these wonderful attributes because everybody has wonderful attributes. So whatever it is that you want to tell your younger self, that is going to start the process of healing. And then I use lots of different modalities, but I'm trying to think of ones that one can easily use on your own. And if you are open to journaling or talking into your phone, that's another wonderful thing to do, is just talk it through and say, well, I know this is what happened, but this is how I'd like to remember that experience. This is what I as an older, wiser person, I would like that younger me to understand that, kids in middle school, let's say it was a middle school thing, kids in middle school are just
jerks.
They're
Yeah.
jerks, and they're just trying to fit in, and they're trying
Yeah.
out things, and they learn things from other people. There's a whole school culture that gets passed on. And I know, and probably you know too, that a lot of people that you weren't friends with in high school, you meet them again 20 years later, and they're wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
They're wonderful people. I was afraid to go to my reunion, I think at 10, 20, and 30 years, because I had gotten in 7th grade for like 4 days, all the girls said, nobody talked to Linda. And I have no idea why, but for 4 days, nobody talked to me. And even
I feel
like,
your pain. I had that
yeah,
too.
Me too.
You did.
She's my best friend today.
Girls are
You're
the
not.
worst.
Oh, girls really are
They're
the
the worst.
Such bitches. That's why men are screwed, because we have just like torn each other down.
I know.
And then we're like, well, somebody else we can pick on now. Let's torture men for a little bit. But
Right.
but interesting. Okay, so I love everything that you're saying. So let's talk about like what confidence is and what it does feel and look like.
Yeah.
So once you have cleared this past for yourself, right, which takes a little bit of work to do,
Mhm.
what does it mean to be confident, right? Because you seem very confident, but you're not like this bravado woman who's coming on and being all alpha female. You're very like calm and sweet, right? The opposite to what you kind of think of as confident. So what is confident? What is it? And then what does it feel like when you're in that place of confidence?
I believe that confidence is honoring and accepting yourself just where you are, where you don't feel like you have to be any more than you are. You don't need to be in a different place than you are, which is a good thing because you can't be where you ain't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you just accept that, and it's a physical, visceral experience as well. It's where you feel dropped into your body. You feel grounded. You don't have this like, I was describing being on Periscope and feeling disembodied, like I was outside my body.
Mm-hmm.
It's feeling like, yeah, I can breathe easy. I can relax. And it's also a place of non-attachment.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for it, but I'm not attached to the outcome. I come with my intention. May I be helpful?
Yeah. But it's very hard to get to that place. It is really hard, especially for men when it comes to dating and to women that they're attracted to.
Yeah.
They see the woman as their one shot.
Yeah,
right?
the one and only.
Yeah, the one and only. Or they see it as, I've approached 10 women today and all of them have said no. So it's hard to continue to go back to that space of just letting it go when you are faced with constantly not getting the outcomes that you want.
Yeah.
What are some like quick ways to get confidence in your body? I know that you said fake it till you make it doesn't work, and I get that. But there is a portion of make it and work with it and work on it that does work. So
Yes.
what would that be?
I would say that it's certain kinds of mental attitudes. So one is, know that we're all on a journey. Life is a journey. Relationships are a journey. Even when you connect with somebody, a partner, that's just the beginning of the journey. And so meeting somebody is a part of the journey too. And if you can utilize the experience of meeting as something that's good in itself for lots of different reasons, that's going to help you look forward to each experience that you have. Mm-hmm. For example, I recommend this for any kind of speaking, whether you're speaking on podcasts or you're speaking in conversations or meetings or on the stage. I think that we need to prepare ourselves more thoroughly for the experience, and we need to debrief the experience afterwards. And in that way, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is an experience that is worth reflecting on. So going into it, what do I mean by that? It means maybe looking at you.
I was going to say, you did this before you got onto our podcast. You
I
said
did.
It when you first introduced us. You listened to a few of our episodes. You know how awful we both are to our guests well in advance.
No, just Marnie.
Yeah. No, but you prepared yourself. You watched a couple of videos of Kristen before. You prepared yourself so that your mind got used to the two of us. So you weren't like I'm the opposite. I actually
entering
like
the unknown
when it's fresh, because to be honest, the anxiety is what gives me my energy. I like it. But I know for many other people who do get overwhelmed with the anxiety, preparing themselves before, even preparing some things that they could say or reactions they could have if they were to say something that you didn't like is so helpful, because your brain's already gone through that experience. I think that's a wonderful way to help calm those nerves.
Yes. And I also, I used to be very comfortable at, say, let's use podcasting, just getting on and getting off podcasts and moving on. But then I realized I was leaving money on the table. What do I mean by that? I realized that I could be using each experience more.
Yep.
What I mean, so this is how I break it down. I like to think about, do I have any concerns about this experience coming up? And what do I want to remind myself of? Mm-hmm. How do I want to feel in my body? How do I want to feel in my self-expression? What do I feel grateful for? What am I excited about this opportunity for? Who is my audience? So let's say in dating, it would be, who am I meeting?
Mm-hmm. Who am I speaking to? Right.
Who am I speaking to? How would I like them? What would I like them to leave with after being with me?
Mm-hmm. These are great things to think
about. I always talk about with my clients setting a North Star.
Yes.
And so it's not fully in your vision like a bright sun and that's all you can see, but you've got an intention and it's gently guiding you. Mm-hmm. And you just keep going toward that North Star without the force, if that makes sense. So if it's, I want her to have a really fun night tonight, that's your North Star. And you just glimpse up at it every now and then, make sure it's still there, make sure you're still on track, and then go back into the moment.
Yes.
Being pulled out of the moment, like you mentioned, being present earlier, is so important. And the minute you get pulled out of the moment and you're not present, you miss so many opportunities to say something insightful or to learn something about her that you can use 5 minutes later. Or, there's so many things you're going to miss when you're not present, and it will show through because you won't look confident when you're not present.
Yes. Yes. And one other thing that we can do when we are present and we are listening, and I'm sure you've talked about this whole thing. I'm a real stickler for sharing airtime. I hate it when I meet somebody and I'm asking a lot of questions and they never ask any questions of me. And I hope that all your listeners have already learned that lesson. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're saying yes. I'm sure it's come up a lot. What I think another one could be is I want my date to feel like I'm interested in her. and I'm interested in who she is and what she thinks about. And the way you can help that along is by listening carefully to the things that you like and appreciate. So maybe she's speaking about an interest of hers, and you say, I really love and appreciate how you are so passionate about this, or how you've gone down this direction, or this or that, because positive reflections are one way that we, number one, learn to see the positive in others, but we also can elevate their experience. And when you feel good around someone because they've elevated you, they want to spend more time with you.
Yeah. Definitely. No, having that positive reinforcement, especially if it's complimenting on something that's not just like, oh, you're so pretty, or your eyes are so nice, or your smile is great. It's like, no, you're really smart.
Yes,
And
what's going
I
underneath.
love how you see things. Yeah. Just a level deeper. I want to take a quick break. Because I don't want Kristen and I to leave money on the table, because we're going to hear from some sponsors who paid to be on our show so that we can keep doing this show for you guys. So let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with Linda. And I'd love for you to give, I know that it's a lot of it is about mindset and talking to yourself and breath work, but if there are some actionable little tips that we can give on how to quickly eliminate anxiety, or at least that overwhelming feeling, and quick tips on how to get a rush of confidence to go into your body, I think that would be really helpful for the guys that are listening. Okay, so we'll be back, listen to these ads, and yeah, we'll speak to you in a minute. All right, we are back, and we're going to talk about the tips of how do you do this. So whichever you want to tackle first, how do you eliminate anxiety or squash it, right? I know you said before you were just pushing it down and moving past it, but are there tips to actually help calm it, even if it is for a moment? And are there tips to help bring confidence to your body in the moments that you need it, either through your voice, the way you carry your body, the things that you say? I'd love to hear your opinion.
Well, we've already talked about how to clear stuff away.
Yeah.
In your mind, people don't realize this, or maybe some of them do, but the voice that we have in our head is often so familiar to us that we don't recognize the sound of it. But we don't need a bully on the outside when you have a bully on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So you need to commit to being your staunchest advocate, your biggest supporter. You don't need someone saying to you, oh, you're such a loser. Oh, that was stupid. I mean, just imagine if someone says that to you, to your face, you would say, oh, I don't want to be around that. It's the opposite of elevating. So don't be that person to yourself. Make a commitment that you're going to be your biggest advocate.
So I remember in my own coaching, I've talked about this before, but the first real coaching that I ever did, that wasn't therapy. And I remember I went for my first session with a woman, and I just talked. And then she goes, wow, I hear how harshly you judge other people. I can't even imagine how harshly you judge yourself. And that was a huge moment for me, because I realized how, I was saying some bad things about other people, but I was doing it even worse to myself. And just acknowledging it and being aware of it and noticing it, that's what started to shift things.
Yes. So I would say that is number one. Number two, back to preparing.
Yeah.
I would say, what makes you feel confident in your body? Is it fitness? Is it dancing? Is it movement of some sort? But you can shift your energy so fast when you engage your body in movement. Maybe you're just a walker. So go out and take a brisk walk. It doesn't have to be far. Just go down to the end of the block and back, and but feel this sense of physical strength in your body. So even if you're listening right now, you might be in the car, you might be walking, you might be doing dishes or cooking a meal, but whatever you're doing, imagine that you do it with slack energy, totally bored, totally kind of floppy energy. And then imagine that you are commanding in your body. All of a sudden you sit different. You feel different in your, as you're using your body. And what about if you're feeling just playful and excited? What does that do to your body? So you can play around with different kinds of energy and image to be in your body in different ways. And I think that having an attitude of exploration is going to give you confidence. So let's say you are going to have a date and you say to yourself in preparation, okay, today I want to just feel like really loose in my body. Or today I want to feel like, what does it feel like to be kind of alpha in my body? Or
Yeah.
today I want to feel sensual.
I like that. Well, so I have this exercise that's actually a little similar to that, but I kind of like this extension that you're offering up because you're getting to play around with feeling different things in your body that you may not get the natural chance to feel. Right. So I have this exercise where I tell people to embody an animal or even a celebrity, somebody that they really think is masculine in the way that they want to be masculine, and that just resonates with them. And then I have them walk as that animal, talk as that animal, ask a woman for her number as that animal. Once they actually can put that animal into their body, and then it helps them in the moments where they're feeling anxious or uncomfortable or there's lack of confidence, and they can quickly put it into their body. It's something that they can visualize. But I love that you just said that to actually prepare and practice with how do I feel when I'm sexual and what does it look like on my body, on my face. I say this a million times. The mirror is your best friend. I was blessed to grow up in a room full of mirrors. My first apartment in Los Angeles was also a room full of mirrors. So I constantly got to look at my expressions and I would talk to the mirror. I would dance in front of the mirror to just see the reactions that I got back. So I love that you just said that. I think it's a great exercise for people.
To reinforce what Marnie was saying about the animal thing, she did that with me when we first met and we were pitching this podcast to Podcast One. And I had to talk to somebody. Yeah. And I was so nervous. And this was 13 years ago. It was a long time ago. Yeah, longer. And Marnie said, embody an animal. And I was a lion. Mm-hmm. And that conversation was so good. I felt so different. It was like a different person emerged. Yeah. Obviously staying present in that energy down the road didn't always, happen. Yeah. But if I could have embodied that all of the time, my life for many years would have been very different. And I still think about it to this day and I actually have written on my wall, I wish I am not on my wall, but on a thing on my wall. Marnie's the best, ... embody a lion. But really? I have embody a lion written on my, that's on my wall.
That's so cool. Okay, mm-hmm. Wonderful.
So it changes absolutely. You. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say one more thing. I do stand-up comedy, and I remember seeing a comedian do jumping jacks before going on stage. And mm-hmm. At first I was like, what is it? And then I realized, oh my God, what an amazing way to get out nervous energy, to get a great positive energy, to have energy. And I started doing some things, not all the time, but something similar. And my reaction would change when I walked on stage.
Yeah. Well, that's the quickest way to stop yourself from having an anxiety attack, or when you are having an anxiety attack. I learned that from Orange is the New Black, which I'm rewatching right now. But the girl was having a panic attack, and one of the police officers walked up to her and said, "Stand up, inmate." And like everybody else was like, "Why are you being so mean to her? She's having a panic attack." And he goes, "Do jumping jacks." And they're like, "What is wrong with you?" And then immediately she calmed down. And I tried that the other day with my son. He was sort of getting really flushed with emotions, and I said, "Okay, do jumping jacks," and he immediately calmed down as well. It's like it's a distractor, and then it's also, or what is the reason that happens? That
I feel like it gives the energy someplace to go. So I do the same thing with kicks and punches, or dancing could be that same way. I do, like releasing dance or shaking out the body. Yeah. You give the jitters someplace to go. So absolutely, I think that's so helpful.
Yeah. What do you think about things like announcing the elephant? So the guys that I work with, like I have a whole process for overcoming approach anxiety and talking to women. Much of it is about drilling down your intentions, which is kind of what you've been talking about for the first portion of the show, of like just changing or being aware of what it is you're trying to accomplish and shifting it so that it becomes purposeful for you. But I do tell them that if the feelings are very overwhelming, where you're freezing in the brain or you're overwhelmed with nerves, that announcing the elephant by saying, "I'm nervous talking to you right now," or "I can't even get my words out," or "You are attractive, it's making me not speak." It's like literally just saying the elephant in the room, so that, just like you said, you get to move the energy somewhere else. It's you're releasing the secret that you're trying to suppress or hide. you put it out there in a confident way because you're saying it and you're not ashamed of it. And then it holds no power over you. Right. And I find that's very effective for me. And my clients have also found that's effective. Are there other tools like that you suggest that people use just to be able to express themselves more confidently and get rid of those jitters?
I think what you said in terms of like how you framed it or how you said you say it confidently, I think that's the trick, that if you can be calm and or amused by
Yes.
yourself,
Yes.
then it's going to come across as endearing.
I was just going to say endearing.
Yeah.
I was waiting, and I was like,
Yeah.
endearing. You got to it. Yep. It is endearing when somebody embraces something that's vulnerable and they do it in a confident way and they can call themselves on it. It shows humility and confidence at the same time.
Yeah. And you open your heart to them for a second. It's not necessarily attractive, but you can be attractive in other ways once you get rid of those nerves. It's as you just said, it's endearing, which when I hear endearing, like that means I lean in more, right? My barrier drops a little bit and my heart opens up to that person, which is a great space to be if you're trying to interact with women, as long as you can still create that spark of attraction afterwards.
Well, I think it happens when we're not putting ourselves down for it and we're not expressing a shame about it, because if we express like, oh, I'm so nervous, then the other person feels they have to take care of you. But
yes, absolutely.
If you put it out like, as you said, oh, you are so attractive, I find you so attractive, it's making me tongue-tied.
Yes.
I mean, that's
like please, can you like pick up my drool for me? I'm having
right. And it's a compliment also, and you make space for it. And I think anytime we share vulnerability, if we can do it in a way that we're not judging it, but we're like, I mean, even if you're sharing, stories of relationships with parents that weren't so great, it's like, I'm not blaming them, but yeah, this kind of thing happened to me. And
yeah, it's your story.
It's just
versus your emotional dump on somebody.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to ask you about speed and vocal tone.
Yes, because that's your area. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing to talk about.
Oh, that's awesome. I've been talking about it recently with clients, and it took me a while to realize how important speed is, because then when you talk slower, your voice goes lower, which can be a little bit more sexy or masculine. Am I right in that? And how slow is too slow and how fast is too fast? What's the happy medium?
I don't feel like there's a medium. I feel like, or that's not what I would go for. I wouldn't go for a medium. I would go for dynamics.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Because sometimes you want to feel excited and speak quickly. And sometimes you do want to get softer and slower, and it feels more sultry or sensual or sexy, and especially if you bring in a little of the growl.
Yeah, never one tone. Yeah. Never one tone.
But if you speak like this all the time, people probably are going to get irritated. I would save that for more intimate moments.
Well, so when they get irritated is when you want to.
That's intimacy for.
Yeah.
That's
true intimacy. Like, I hate you all the time. Yeah.
I feel that what we want to, personally, what I like is a resonant sound, something that takes up space. And I want people to feel that if you feel like it's worth saying that word deserves to be heard. And you do that by creating resonance in your sound, and sometimes it helps to slow down, but you don't have to be a slow speaker. If you are a fast speaker, on the other hand, do pause once in a while. It's not a problem to speak fast if you are clear.
Right. If you're a mumbler, then it's harder.
If you're a mumbler, you're making your date have to work hard to understand
they're like,
you.
What are you saying?
And it's a drag. Now, another thing to think about is if you are in a noisy restaurant, you're going to have to speak in a different tonality than you would if you're in a quiet room together.
Right.
or, sitting on a park bench. Then you can, or on a microphone, obviously. On a microphone, you can speak quite softly and someone will hear you. But if you're in a restaurant that's noisy, you are actually going to want to get more nasal and more edge to your voice, because that's going to cut through the din of the room. And if she can't hear a word you say, and vice versa, you're not going to have a really good conversation at all, because you're going to be guessing at what the other person is saying, and it's a drag. Or if you're out dancing, even if you're like in a club, you got to get up here, and this way I'm not forcing my throat at all. I am just bringing more kind of like edgy, or think about like the children's books, The Troll Under the Bridge. I'm the troll under the bridge. That's how you want to speak in a noisy area.
Yeah.
Because
well, the confident thing to do is to take the person's hand and say, "We're getting out of here. Come stand outside with me because I want to really talk to you."
Speak, exactly.
Right? Or like, we're going to another restaurant. I want to be able to hear the things you have. I want you to hear the things I have to say.
Yes, but sometimes that's not going to be possible.
Right.
I love the idea of when it is loud somewhere, being playful by putting words into her mouth.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
saying,
what do you want to do to me?
yeah, in a flirtatious way, but saying something like, oh my God, thank you. I didn't know I looked so handsome tonight, or what have you, or, oh, thanks. Thanks for offering to buy the drinks, whatever it is, but take that opportunity to
I love that.
Call it out by saying something that she clearly didn't say.
Oh, you want to pay for dinner? Okay, that's
right.
I think that's
exactly
really funny. That's adorable.
Right.
Can we just quickly like wrap up with a few quick tips on how guys can play around with their voice and how they can actually evaluate how their voice sounds? Like, because they may not know that they're talking like this all the time. Like, is there a way for guys to play around with their voice so that they can try the sultry side out without sounding like they're going to kill a person? Like, how do they learn how to get to that place? Because you did it so well. You like just shifted from one to the next.
I really felt like we were in a club for a second when you went up to that.
Yes, me too.
It's like really, yeah.
But so how do guys play around with their voice and know when they're getting it right?
You've got to do some exploration on your own. You just got to. I mean, it's hard to, when you're in conversation with somebody, it's difficult to deconstruct everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So make it easier for yourself and try things out before you go out. And what I like to do is just take any sentence. I'm going to just look at my computer and see what's here. Let's see. Well, you wrote me. We use a program called Riverside.
Here,
yeah. Okay.
Here, 5th grade. Oh, that's backwards.
I can't see it now.
That's 5th grade dog walker, but it's backwards for you, I realize.
No, it's not actually.
Oh, it's not?
Dog walker.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's say, let's say 5th grade dog walker. So we
Mondays
first
to
say it emphasizing different words. 5th grade dog walker. 5th grade dog walker. 5th grade dog walker. 5th grade dog walker.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just like emphasis. Then try out stretching the words out so you really feel the song of the vowels. 5th grade dog walker. So all of a sudden, it's like every vowel deserves to be heard, not just every word. And if you speed it up, 5th grade dog walker, all of a sudden you feel, I heard every single sound that Linda just made. Then you can play with different characters. Like, imagine that you're reading a children's book, or even find a children's book that has the elephant, 5th grade dog walker, and the mouse, 5th grade dog walker. And find the extremes in your voice, because once you know what your voice is capable of, then you can play with those things. Pausing, 5th grade dog walker, or 5th grade dog walker. So slow and fast, fast and slow. So if you pull apart the elements of speech and you play around with them, then when you go into having a conversation, this is what I think. I want to be a tour guide. I want to be a tour guide so that she understands everything I'm saying by the way I'm saying it. And did you hear how I just changed the the tonality at the end, by the way I'm saying it. When we emphasize things, when we make things louder or more exciting or softer, it gives clues on what we want the person to pay attention to, and also what we feel about it, what we feel is important by it. So I think this idea of being a tour guide, but after you've practiced or played with and explored different ways of saying things, then you can become a very compelling speaker.
Okay, I love that.
I love that. And I can't disappoint longtime listeners of the show, as I've been known to reference Seinfeld many times, and I can't not reference that here. But these pretzels are making me thirsty. If I don't know if you guys are aware of
Yes.
that, but okay, George, they say it in all different ways, and George says it so fervently. But Google, these pretzels are making me thirsty, and listen to the different ways that all the characters in Seinfeld say it.
Oh, got it. I love it.
It's really funny.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Love it.
I remember
George's like, these pretzels are making me thirsty. Like, he's so frustrated. You know, his interpretation is so frustrated, but it's amazing to hear the way they, do the different.
Exactly. And yes, and it kind of reminds me, so like in acting, they'll have like different, like we even talked about, like bored or annoyed or excited or surprised or questioning or unsure, and you can say the same sentence and with all those different emotional undertones, and it makes you much more interesting. Like, we have habits of speech. Everybody has a habit of, how fast or slow they speak, and also the melody in the way they say their sentences. And if you do the same thing over and over and over, truthfully, it can get boring. So even though you might have really interesting things to say, but the way you're saying it does not captivate.
Yeah.
It's almost like driving down a straight road with no curves or turns. It's just monotony.
And then you tune out. You tune out. Actually, I'm doing I got a stupid ticket now to do driving school, so I've been reading all about how you're able to pass cars and not pass cars. But like, I kept reading it yesterday, being like, oh my God, this is so boring. And all I kept thinking was, like, I don't want to be here anymore listening to this driving class, because it was the same thing. It was the same boring thing after the same boring thing. So you tune out. So I want to give one final tip to people who are listening, which I'm maybe it'll help for your clients. I'm sure you already use it. But one of my wing girls found this emotional wheel online. And now in our inner circle classes, we do play around with voice tonality using the emotion wheel. And it says every emotion, and she'll call out a guy and say, okay, sad, happy, just to get them to play around with their voices and the way that they're expressing themselves. But for guys who are listening, if you want to do that exercise on your own, like Google emotional wheel or a wheel of emotions. I forget what it's called. I think emotion wheel. And it'll give you 50 different emotions, and just go through each of them for a week straight and just have your voice do what you see on the paper. And that's just playing around with your voice. Or you start working with Linda, because Linda can teach people how to be more confident through the use of their voice, as you saw from this podcast. So thank you so much for coming onto the show. Do you want to tell people where to go to find out more about you, or how they find out more about you?
Absolutely. My name is Linda Ugelow, Ugelow, and you can find my book, Delight in the Limelight. You can find my website. My podcast is also called Delight in the Limelight, or I'm on TikTok a lot, and other platforms as well. So
Periscope,
reach out and ask your question. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. And Kristen, thanks for being so awesome. You can find out more about Kristen by going to, I keep forgetting if it's changed.
It's just KristenandChillDating.com.
Dating, that's what the difference is. KristenandChillDating.com. And for any of you who are listening, if you do want to join my inner circle, then there's an ad that plays that will tell you how to join the inner circle. And I totally forgot what the link is right now, but I'm pretty sure it's winggirlmethod.com/coaching is the way to fill out an application to see if you...
Let me help.
Yes. Oh, let me help. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
That was the other one too.
When I put the show together, I always hear that.
There you go. winggirlmethod.com/let me help, and join our inner circle of amazing men who get to work with my team of wing girls and me. Yes, you guys are awesome.